Sahana bhavatu Sahana bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
The one single quality of a Brahmagyani is desirelessness. That itself is good enough to define who a knowledgeable person is. Only an ignorant person keeps having desires because he cannot see the truth from the untruth. He cannot see the reality from the falsehood. He cannot see the temporary from the permanent. So he goes on chasing desire after the other. And that is the idea of avidya, karma, and the karma prabhava. Avidya, kama, and karma. These are the reasons why he gets bound. It's like you bind yourself in this snare of ignorance, and that leading to wrong desire, that leading to wrong action and wrong reactions, and further it binds you into that ignorance. The more you try to deal with it, the more it binds you, like quicksand. When you have this loose earth or quicksand, the more you put efforts to try to come out of it, the more it sucks you in. That is the idea. When you are behaving as per ignorance of your self being the body or the mind, then whatever desires of the body and mind arise from that ignorance, you go on chasing them and create more actions and more reactions. So our Sanatana Dharma is very clear. There are two major laws that govern Sanatana Dharma. The first is that of law of action. Whatever actions you do in this world, it will have a reaction. And that is the law of physics as well. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Some actions have immediate reactions, some have a little delayed or little more delayed reactions. For example, when you do something like you hit the table hits you back. That's the typical example they give you when you are reading the Newton's laws, that reaction and action laws. So the intensity and the force with which you hit the table also hits you back. The table has no hands and legs. In the sense, it does not have limbs. But the force, it comes back to you in the same way. So this is an immediate reaction to the action. That's settled there. The scores are settled. But there are certain actions which have delayed long-term reactions. Like you do good today. You may not immediately receive the rewards of it. It may come back to you much, much later in your life. Or you do some bad today. It may not have immediate reaction. But at some point of time, it will come back to you as a reaction. You plant a seed today. You get a fruit after several years, not immediately. Like that, many actions have delayed reactions, but does not mean that the reactions won't happen or they have disappeared. Many fools think that I have done something now and I will have no reaction whatsoever. I somehow have managed to escape it. But they're only fooling themselves. It will have a reaction at some point in time. And that reaction will bind them. So till the reaction happens, the person is not freed from the bondage of action and reaction. Now what is the way out? And as I say, that this reaction and reaction will lead to further lives. In India, where several of the Eastern religious philosophies, we believe there are reincarnations. Like Hinduism believes in that, Jainism, Buddhism believes in that. Many other tribal, including the many indigenous cultures, believe in that. That we continue to keep coming back in different forms at different times. And whatever we do in the past, that is the reason why we are born again in different ways. So we have to be careful about what actions we undertake. But that action is motivated by a desire somewhere. Without desire, there is no action. And that desire, is it arising out of ignorance or wisdom, is the key. If it is arising of the ignorance that you are just the body, this world is all that is, and you must make the most of it here and now, then you are going to be bound. But if you realize that you are more than this body and mind, and whatever actions you undertake may come back as reactions to you, not just now, but maybe after several lifetimes. You do not know. That is why you are very careful. So wisdom, a man of wisdom, first of all, is very choosy in terms of what he wants to do or what he does not want to do. He's very careful with that. Secondly, the greatest idea that Ashtavakra teaches is that a person who is truly wise has no doership at all and no enjoyership. But he's still engaged in actions in the world. Apparently, he is involved and he is creating actions and reactions. So, logically, he should be bound. He should be more bound than anybody else. But he is not bound, Ashtavakra says. This is an exception to action and reaction law. What is this exception? He never feels the doership of it because he does not do out of any desire to do. I want to build hospitals is a good desire, but that also will bind you at the end. I want to earn a lot of wealth. That is maybe another desire. That will also bind you. Or some evil ideas. I want to kill people and loot their wealth, or whichever you want to do, wrong things, tempted by the senses and the mind. All these can lead you to reactions. But this jnani lives in such a way that despite he acting in the world, the actions don't bind him. What a wonderful exception. Nobody can escape action and reaction. It is given. It is a law. You can't break that law. That is how the universe works. But the only escape from this is if you attain jnana. The other escape is what? Don't do any actions. But our Ashtavakra will tell you in the coming shlokas, even those who think they are not acting, they are acting. They are involved in action. Why? Because their eyes opening and closing also is an action. Because they are the doers of it. They believe that they are the doers of it. And the moment you feel that you are the doer of anything, the action binds you. And that is the reason why, even though apparently the agyanis, the fools may run away from action thinking that is the best way to escape the reaction. But their very existence is an action that binds them. Whereas man of wisdom, even though he is super busy doing things in the world, does not rest even for a moment, yet such a person has no binding of actions. So in the coming shlokas, we are going to see this, and this is extremely important. Why? Because all of us have to involve in some action or the other. As I said, if you just sit in your room, close the door, and meet nobody, talk to no one, even then you are bound by action of simply living a life of ignorance, bound by the very idea that you are body and mind. That itself is an action. Example, when you are breathing now, none of us are putting any efforts to breathe. So that breath is not an action right now for us, which binds us. But the moment I say, now we will do pranayama, let us hold our breath, let us slowly breathe out, slowly breathe in, now that has become an action. Till it was happening effortlessly without your knowledge, without your involvement or doership, breathing is not an action at all. It is a natural process which sustains the body. That doesn't bind you. That does not make you a slave to the reactions. But the moment you now make breathing a part of a process which you want to control, by breathing in, breathing out, holding the breath, meditation, pranayama, the moment you do that, what is happening? You have made breathing into an action that you are now going to be bound to. Think of thinking now. Without putting efforts, if you are thinking an inspired thought that comes to you, it's not an action that binds you. It's an inspired thought. It comes from elsewhere. You just follow the thought which is inspired. But now you say, I will tell you, now think about an essay on this mission. Now once you say, I am going to think about what this mission is all about, and then I am going to write, now your thinking has become an action. Till it was spontaneously flowing, what a wonderful mission, nice things are happening, there was no action in that thinking. Till you were just going and doing whatever you needed to do as a part of your daily chores, your dharma, there was no action. The moment you say, I am doing it, I am going to do it, and because of me this is happening, you are bound. So there is a very subtle difference between who gets bound and who is free, despite performing actions. Breathing by itself is free of action. You are not bound by it. But doing pranayama is also breathing, but now it is contaminated with the idea that I am going to be doing it. Now there is effort, there is a reaction, there is an outcome, an expectation, and now all that binds us. Whereas just breathing about doing as you go about breathing, though no action at all. So this is the idea. Thinking which is inspired, comes from the source, is not binding you anymore. Whether the thinking leads you to building a hospital or running a business or doing anything else, it is not going to bind you. But the moment you think, I am going to think, I am going to plan, I am going to build, I am going to execute, I am going to see to that it runs, I am going to see, the moment that I am going to do comes, immediately you are bound. So what is the difference between Jnani and Agyani? Jnanis are also living in this world with performing all the kinds of actions that are needed to be performed. Agyanis are also performing the same kind of actions. But for Jnani, it is spontaneous, effortless and inspired. Whereas for Agyani, it is an effort, it's a burden with, strewn with doership and enjoyership. And that Jnani, that fool cannot get out of it because he's so very possessed by this idea of doing and enjoying. This does not occur to the Jnani. So this is the beauty of Ashtavakra, because he says, don't run away from actions, not required. Do your dharma, do your duty, whatever is coming your way, execute it as it is needed. But don't be bound by it, by considering yourself as the doer or enjoyer of it. Then my body is engaged, my mind, yes, you have engaged your body and mind, but do not associate with it, is what he's saying. And some beautiful examples will come in the shloka, and it's quite a good shlokas coming up which will help us to sort of rethink about how we are performing actions in this world and what is the reason for our bondage or liberation. Last we saw was 18.23, so now it is 18.24. That is on page number 164. What else is the quality of the Jnani? We had met a Jnani in the previous shlokas with certain qualities. Like he does not have any desires whatsoever, not this idea of accepting or rejecting. He is Atma Ramasya, he is established in that joyful self, and Sheetalachitra Manaha. He is full of peace and tranquility and serenity, even though he is bound. So now in this shloka, more qualities of the Jnani come out. It says, Prakritya shunya chittasya kurvatosya yadachaya prakritasyeva dhirasya na mano navamanatha. For this person, this wise one, whose mind is empty, prakritya shunya chittasya. Shunya chitta means in his mind there are no thoughts. It's an empty slate. It's an empty space. There is no object, there is no idea, there are no desires, there is no emotion. Nothing. It's just blank. His mind is absolutely zero. Absolutely empty. When does this happen to us? Only in deep sleep it happens to us, when our mind is totally empty. Even in the dream state, we have some thoughts running subconsciously, which create a new world within ourselves, which we enjoy or suffer through the night. But in deep sleep, we have no mind. Likewise, imagine if you're awake and yet you have no thoughts in your mind. But it's not that you're not conscious of your being alive or awake. You're very much conscious that you are alive and you're awake and you're seeing everything around, experiencing everything, but there are no thoughts in your head. It's absolutely zero state. This is the mind of a Jnani. And Prakritya, by nature, he is like that. Not by some effort, okay, I'll do meditation now, and now that's how I'll empty my head of all the thoughts, and now I'll become established in the thoughtlessness of the mind. No efforts. By nature, he becomes like that. His mind is already empty. Kurvato asya yadrichaya, and even if appears that he is doing things in the world, how does he do it? Yadrichaya, as it comes to him, not by his desire, as it comes to him, spontaneously he does it. There is no thinking in that. It just happens to that Jnani and through that Jnani. Now what else happens? Prakritasyeva dhirasya. So such a person who seems like an ordinary mortal appears to be one, because Jnanis don't have wings or a halo or anything extra. They also are just like us, moving around. All these depictions of Jnanis in portraits with aura around them and wings and halos are all our imagination, just to differentiate them in the picture from others. But the Jnanis also are like regular people only. They don't have extra pairs of hands or legs or eyes or ears and all that. But what they don't have, they don't have thoughts. We all are full of thoughts, but they are empty-minded. And prakritasyeva dhirasya, for this discriminating one, the wise one, who is naturally wise, there is no mano na avamanata. There is no praise, no blame. Praise or insult. Avamanata means no insult also. If he does something, if it works out well, people are naturally going to praise. He does not accept that praise belonging to him. That's also happened because of the divine will, whatever has happened. I am merely an instrument, or I am just incidental to the action. I am not the reason for the action. So he will not accept the praise for all the good that happens. At the same time, he will also not accept the blame for things which don't go right. Now our problem is when the good things happen through us, when people come and praise, elsewhere people would jump to take the credit. Yes, I have done it and give me the credit, because that is how they survive, unless you fight for your credits. Nobody is going to hand it over to you. In a dog eat dog world, you have to fight for your place and your credits. In ashram, it is just the opposite. When people say, "Oh, you've done such a good job," no, 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 please, I had not done that. They're over humble. They reject it. They say, "No, it's all God who has done, Swami who has done. I'm just." They mean it. I'm not saying they're faking it. They mean it. But something goes wrong and does not go the way it should be. Outside, what happens? They immediately find a scapegoat, the weakest, poorest, youngest employee of the institution, who can be happily made a scapegoat, and all the blame can be dumped on him, and he cannot even talk back, because if he talks back, he'll get into worse situations. That is how the world works. He'll get into more and more trouble. And when good things happen, people take the credit for it. Bad things happen, they dump it on somebody who is vulnerable, weak, and voiceless, and helpless, and young, and powerless. Because good things happen, they'll praise you. Bad things go, something go wrong. Every client who was till yesterday adoring you, admiring you for your skills, suddenly turns the blame. How could you not know that markets were going to crash tomorrow morning? How did you not redeem my portfolio? How could you not take actions at the right time? They will blame you for anything. There is nothing that you can do. When the money was made in the market, it was not because of you. Some foreign funds pumped in a lot of billions of dollars into the market, and as the market started flying, next day all of them decided together, party is over, let's take our money back. Overnight they vanish, and all the markets crash, and then our investment. I've seen in 2008 during subprime crisis how many brokers committed suicide, how many of them. They just committed suicide because they had so much money put out there in the market, and market's having a dream run. But blame and praise happen as a part of life. When things go right, people will praise you. You feel good. When things go wrong, people will blame you. But though you say that both were not my doing, I just put your money in the market, market went up, you made the money, you praised me. Thank you very much. Market went down, you put the money, market went down, you lost the money. Why are you blaming me? They say, no, we praised you, so we'll also blame you. How does the Jnani work? No praise, no blame. No rewards, no injuries or insults. He doesn't accept both because he says it is not because of me. He's very clear in his mind. On the outside, yes, people will blame you for the wrong that happens. People will praise you for the right that you do. But you don't get affected inside. That is the whole idea of Jnani. So Jnani also exists in the world, what he has to go through, but deep inside he remains unaffected. There's a beautiful story from Thirualluvar's life. Thirualluvar is a great Tamil poet sage. And he wrote Tirukkural, 1,000 verses or something like that, on like Kabir Das ji of North, who had this Kabir's Dohas. Like that, Tirukkural has its own Tamil version of things. Very deep philosophy. And he was also a weaver, by the way, just like Kabir Das. And in his, he was weaver, so he used to weave saris. So once he was weaving the sari, but then, some notorious youngsters were around, they wanted to trouble him. Those who laughed at the wise men and jeered at them and teased them and mocked them, those kind of, everywhere such people exist. In those times also in his village. So they came, one fellow came and asked, how much is this sari that you have weaved? He said, it's 2 rupees. He said, okay. He took the sari, tore it into 2 halves and says, now how much is this sari, this half? Anybody else would have told, how dare you tear the sari, how can you? But he knew these people have come to trouble me. I will get troubled only if I wish to get troubled. If I don't want to get troubled, how can anybody trouble me? So he remained calm. He said, now it is 1 rupee because it is half of the sari. They tore it again and said, now tell me how much is this? He said, now it is half a rupee because it's quarter of the sari. They tore it further. Now how much? Then he said, now it is quarter of a rupee. Now how much it is? So like that they keep shredding the sari and things like that. Finally he says, it's free, take it. You don't need to pay for it because it's of no use to me. Those youngsters who are troubling him, they are surprised. How come he didn't lose his temper? How come he did not lose his calm and cool and balance? We tore his sari and shredded it into pieces. And he's still smiling and saying, now it has become free. Earlier you had to at least pay 1 rupee for half the sari. Now it has become free. You can take the whole thing. That is the idea. These Jnanis won't accept the insult or the praise. So why do we feel insulted? Why do we feel hurt? Because we accepted that insult. Somebody says, you are a fool. We agreed that we are a fool, therefore we are fighting. Or we don't agree that we are fools, that's why we are fighting. Why the fight happens? Because we have an ego which does not allow us to let go of things. It says, how dare you say such things to me? Let me teach you a lesson. Because we identify the other person as another being who is trying to harm us or insult us and things like. Similarly, somebody praises us. There are a lot of yes men that exist in the world. You become friends with them. Why? Because they are making you feel good. What is in you that is feeling good? Your ego is feeling good. What is in you that is feeling bad? Your ego is feeling bad. Both are egos only, whether it is good or bad, isn't it? How can it be anything else? Self has no modifications. Self has no distortions. In all situations, it remains the same. So, what is changing in you? What is that which makes you feel good or bad? It's your ego, it's the identity with this body and the mind, which is falsehood, which according to our scriptures is not real. You are the self. So, these people go through these motions of life every day. Good days, good mornings, good afternoons and bad afternoons, good nights and bad nights. This is the way of their life. But Jnanis don't get affected. Why? Because they don't accept it. Suppose you throw a ball. If there is a wall, the ball will bounce back. If there is no wall, it will just pass through. Your ego is that wall. When people hurl abuses at you, they say bad things about you, they tell you horrible things, you are getting hurt because that ego wall is standing there. That's why things are bouncing back. If you had no ego, their words would have just passed through from this year to that year and out. They would have never remained in you. You wouldn't have bothered. So what did this Jnani do? He has accepted this part that it is not because of him. It has happened through the Jnani, but not because of the Jnani. So whatever comes out of it as a praise or blame, both do not accrue to him. In our case, either we accrue the praise and reject the blame, or accrue the blame and reject the praise. That is what we are doing. But that is also ego, that is also ignorance only. You may look like a more humble, nice, sweet, surrendered devotee because all the praise you are passing on to the God, and blame you are keeping to yourself and cursing yourself. It sounds good, like Swami Vivekananda said. He was also blamed heavily after his guru's demise because he went to the Chicago, that conference, and spoke and became very popular and famous. When he returned, everybody received him with great pomp and honor. So overnight he shot to fame, and people became his followers and devotees. So his other guru bhratas, those co-mendicant brothers were there. They felt that Swami Vivekananda, instead of promoting Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa name, he is doing self-promotion everywhere. He doesn't even mention the name of his guru. He only is talking about himself. So they blamed him for all such things. He had told at that point in time that whatever good has happened because of me, or whatever good that people accrue to me, it's because of my guru, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and whatever wrong has happened, that is because of my shortcomings. This statement he makes, not to pacify people, but as the matter of truth, the truth that he speaks. So I went through this whole episode also. People started praising Bhagwan for all things which went right. When things didn't go right, they said, this fellow would have interfered with Bhagwan's will. He would have minced the words. He would have not communicated correctly. He would have added his 2 cents of advice to us. That is why all these things went wrong. But I knew in my heart of heart, I have not done any of these things. But how do I go and convince? How do I go and convince? Then I read this Vivekananda story, and then I thought, yes, I should take this approach. All that good happens is because of Bhagwan. All that which goes wrong is because of me. But it didn't make my situation any better. It was a fake way of consoling myself to soothe my whatever nerves. But it did not really help, because here also there was ego of one kind, right? What was the ego? Good ones you are passing on to your guru, and bad ones you are accepting and suffering. And I knew I have not done it, then why should I suffer? But I had to suffer through that because I could not get over this whole idea of some doership somewhere. So even an iota of doership will trouble you. The only way you can survive is when you have absolutely zero doership. That is when you can survive. Even this idea that trying to look very nice and sweet and humble, all the good is because of my guru, all bad is because of me. You might look very good in front of people's eyes. Oh, what a humble, nice fellow. But that is also ego of some sorts. You accept none. Either accept both or accept none. That is how it is. Either accept divine is the doer and I am divine, so yes, I am the doer and enjoyer. That is one way. Mahato mahiyanasya. Other way is, I am not the doer, I am not the enjoyer, so therefore neither praise nor blame come to me. Anoraniyan, Bhagavan used to say these 2 ways. He used to give example of Hanuman. How would he get out of the chain that he was bound with? He said either he grows, becomes so big that the chains break. Or he becomes so small that he becomes the chains become loose and they tried to bind him in Ravana's court. So he said there are only two ways Hanuman can escape that. One, he grows so big that all the chains break and he's free. Or he becomes so small that there is no need, the chains cannot bind him. He can get out through any of those loops and disappear. So either become so humble saying, reject everything. I neither praise I want nor I want the blame. I am not the doer, so therefore I am not the enjoyer. That is to reduce your ego to that small level like Hanuman's Anoraniya and Rupa, where he becomes the smallest of the smallest and disappears. Or become biggest of the big. I am the divine. Yes, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, but as the divine, not as the body and the mind, and break free. Between the two, choose one. You can't have half of it this way, half of it that way. Yes, good things, God is the reason. Bad things, I am the reason. I am useless, I am no good, I am no need. Both ways you get rid of. So this both are egos only. So this man, mano na avamanata, na mano, neither praise nor blame. Both do not occur to this person, both do not touch his heart. He is, because mind is empty. Whatever comes through God passes on, that's it. Then mind is empty again. And he knows very well he is not the doer. Like I knew very well I am not the one who is telling things. It is Bhagavan who is telling, and if things happen or don't happen, it is his problem, not mine. But I could not learn it quickly. It took some time for me to accept it. At least I had a kind of an interaction with which I could tell, oh, God is telling me, so I am doing. But those who do not have a God telling them, what is their fate? They have to feel inspired from inside, that's all. When they are inspired from inside and they think, speak and do, they are free from all the blame and praise. When they are not inspired, they are thinking from their head, they will suffer. Both is suffering. Excitement is also suffering and depression is also suffering. Both ways they will suffer. So you have to decide to accept both or reject both. In my opinion, accepting both requires you to become a jnani and become a, that Mahato Mahiyan, which takes time. Best is reject both to begin with. Why reject both? Who am I after all? An instrument of God. What blame can a scissors take when the tailor has cut it all wrong? What blame can a scalpel take when the surgeon has cut it all wrong? What blame can an instrument take when the player has played it all wrong? So I reject both. That is the first step. But eventually you will reach a stage that you feel the jnana. You say, yes, I accept both, but both don't affect me. But that is a difficult step. First step is this. Be an instrument, that is the easier way. And then you be the doer, but as the divine, not as the body and the mind. This is a progress which will take time. It is not as straight and easy. 18.25 and 168. It says, Kritam dehena karmedam na maya shuddha rupina iti chintanurodhi yaha kurvannapi karoti na. Which means, Kritam dehena karma idam na maya shuddha rupina. All these actions that are being performed is by the body, not by me, who is the shuddha rupa, who is pure. Because actions do bring some impurities. Some things are right, some things are wrong. Like you see Jain monks are there, they are so careful. They put a mask on their face, and even they're walking, they sweep the road with a broom so that they don't even accidentally step on some insects or don't breathe in an insect or something and kill them. They're so careful. They want their actions to be absolutely pure. That's why sannyasis and brahmacharis are not allowed to light fire, kitchen fire. Because when you light kitchen fire, some insects will be burnt. When you are cooking, you will bring vegetables from fields, you have put pesticides or something. So many insects have died in the process. All the blame comes to the grihastha who is cooking, lighting fire. Sannyasi's life was whatever falls from the sky, like the fruits that have been eaten by the birds and have ripened and fell, they eat that. They don't want to even trouble anyone. And drink from the flowing water. They don't want to drink from stagnated or stored water. Why? Because there are germs in that or whatever you call it, microorganisms who die when you drink. In flowing water, it is less. So they lived a very pure life. Brahmachari's problem is the student life is, you don't light the fire and take the blame for it. Let the grihastha take the blame and you take it as a dana. So doership is not yours, that you cooked and you ate. No. Somebody cooked, so what is your problem? You took it as a charity. That was the idea. So brahmacharis and sannyasis were not allowed to light kitchen fire. They were supposed to beg and eat or take what comes from the nature. Whereas grihasthas have a lot of life which is full of sins. That's why grihasthas have to keep doing pariharas all the time. Why? Because when they're cooking, they're killing things. Some way, if you're eating a non-vegetarian food, there is straight away killing. There is absolutely, that is sinful. But even if you're cooking a vegetarian food for that matter, when you light fire, Some insects, some small things die. When you clean things, you kill some insects. So this is a part of life of Grihastha. Poor Grihastha cannot escape that. Though he is supposed to do a lot of pujas and pariharas. As Grihasthas, you have to conduct a lot of rituals and such things to get rid of these sins that accrue. But for a jnani, he says, I am not the doer. Where are you trying to, what you call, latch it all onto me? Pin it to me? I am not the doer. So why are you telling I ate vegetarian, non-vegetarian? I don't even know. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't eat anybody, he says. Like, are you breathing if I ask you now? If you were not conscious of it, you were not the one who was breathing. Breathing was happening. Your body was breathing. Your body was breathing. When you say I am breathing means there should be conscious involvement in that action, isn't it? But if you are not consciously involved, who was breathing? Body was breathing. Who is digesting your food? I am digesting my food. No, don't lie. Your body is digesting the food. Your body is breathing. This is how they think of all the action. My body is singing. My body is walking. My body is talking. My body is working. I am not working. They're very clear. Like I am not breathing. My body is breathing. But body is you only. No, I am not the body. I am very clear. I am not the body. So don't attach the two. It's not real. Like when you are unconsciously breathing, you are not breathing. Your body is breathing, is doing its own thing as per the natural laws. Likewise, when you even engage in action, run a business, teach a student, sing a song, operate on a patient, my body is doing its own thing. I am not doing. That clarity is there in these people. But you only studied medicine, you only became a surgeon. Now my body went to the college, my mind studied medicine. Then what are you? I am none of these. I am the witness consciousness which is unaffected by both. That clarity is very, very strongly embedded in the Shuddha Rupina. I am pure. Actions don't bind me. No impurity happens to me. So he says, all the actions done are by the body. I am not the doer. And I am pure consciousness which is unaffected by any of these things. Then, iti chintanurodhi yaha kurvannapi karotina. This kind of person, chintanurodhi, means the one who has caused the cessation of all the thoughts in him. What are the thoughts? I am doing now I am enjoying. I am doing now, I am not enjoying. Or I am not doing and enjoying. I am not doing, I am not enjoying. All combinations are destroyed. Why? Because he does not think at all. It doesn't mean that he is incapable of thinking. He does not need to think. His life is an inspired life. God thinks for him. It happens through this body and mind. That's it. He remains unaffected. So such a chintanurodhi, the one who does not allow any thought or worries or ideas to happen in the head, kurvannapi karotina. Even though he is performing action, he is not performing actions. Why? Because actions are happening through him. Like the robotic surgery, I give example now. I've got a new nice example to quote. The robotic arm seems to be doing everything, cutting the skin. Because if you see in the screen, what do you see? You see that the arm went inside. It has got some probes. It has got an instrument. Now it just cuts the skin or pericardium. Now it's suturing it. But who is doing it actually? Here the surgeon is sitting with those joysticks and he is controlling all those instruments. If somebody does not see the surgeon, they won't know. They'll think the robot is doing its own thing. So it's actually not called robotic surgery. It's called robotic assisted surgery. Because robot is assisting the surgeon to do the surgery. So that is the idea. Now you can't go and blame the robot tomorrow. How come this surgery goofed it all up? Now we will file a case on this robot. Robot said, I didn't do anything. I was just there. This surgeon was sitting behind the wall. He is the one who is Jnani, he says, even though work is happening through my body, I am pure consciousness, I am not touched by any of it. And even though I seem to be doing all that is being done, yet I am not doing anything because my mind is empty. Robot does not have its mind to do things. The moment your mind gets involved in the action, you become the doer. If the mind is not involved in the action, it is happening like breathing is happening spontaneously, you are not the doer. The moment your mind gets involved, says, let me breathe slowly, you are doer now. That is the whole subtle difference between the doership and non-doership. Body will still be engaged, mind is not involved. Mind means your thought of doership is not existent in that action. Either you think you are the instrument or you think you are the divine. In between you cannot think. Think of like yourself like the robotic instrument It has no mind of its own, but it has a body which is doing things. So also you are free from the blame game. Or you become the surgeon and say, yes, I take the responsibility for it because I am the divine. And divine is the real doer. That also is okay. But initially reaching that state of experiencing that divinity and saying, I am the divine who is, somebody was for the sake of arguing. He says, Swamiji, you are saying all these things, but Ashtavakra is telling, you are the divine. I told, yes, but do you realize it? Why are you going on telling people, you be an instrument, try to get over your ego and doership? Ashtavakra is straight away saying, you are divine, then why are you telling contradictory things? I looked at him and said, do you even understand that you are divine? There is a path and there is a process that has to be followed, right? Ashtavakra says you are divine. How many of us believed and became divine next day? None of us. So there is a process. Yes, this is a lofty ideal. This is a beautiful goal to achieve. But have you achieved the goal by reading the book? No. So what is the process? You ask me, what is the process? How do I reach that stage? Step by step by step. I to we to he. That is the step by step. From I to he, you cannot jump. It's very difficult. So you go from I to we, do social service, do kindness, do charity, do generosity. Don't feel the doership. Become an instrument of the divine. Have no ego and attachment to whatever is. All these steps you follow, then you will reach a state of purity. In that state, you will be divine. But you are already pure, no, Swami, why are you telling? I told, but do you realize this at all? If you don't realize this, this is theory. Why are you even repeating it? It doesn't make any sense. Don't simply read Ashtavakra Gita and have your own understanding of how it is. Simply don't quote in front of me. I know more than you from that point of view. Quoting from here and there, you are already divine. Why are you repeating this? I told them, why are you even reading Ashtavakra? Throw it into the garbage bin. You are already divine, right? You don't need one. But you are not like that. Those people, they are here, but they will talk of there. That's not right, I tell them. You become that and then you have every authority to say whatever you want. But if you don't become that, don't come and bother me like this. So like all the actions that are happening through the body spontaneously, we don't feel the doership in it. So we are not bothered. But the moment we try to control the body and its actions, then we feel the doership and accordingly we feel the effort and burden in it. So that is the idea. And a beautiful shloka comes in Bhagavad Gita, which says similar idea. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyaha sarva bhutatma bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate, it says. The one who is established in yoga, yoga yuktaha, vishuddhatma, who is pure, shuddha rupena, he says here, pure there. Vijitatma, who has conquered his lower self of instincts and desires and doerships. Jitendriyaha, all the senses are under his control. What is such a person? Sarva bhutatma bhutatma. He sees the same self in all the beings. Kurvan nampila lipyate. Even though he does, he is not bound by doing. That is the definition from the Bhagavad Gita of the same tone. So I thought I'll just bring it to your attention that such people do exist. The next shloka is on page number 170, 18.26. Beautiful shloka. It says, Atatvadiva kurute na bhaved api balishaha jivan muktah sukhi shriman sansarnapi shobhate. A beautiful word, he says, Atatvadi, he says, first word. Atatvadi. I am not that. Tatvadi means I am that. Remember, Tattvamasi is one of the Mahavakyas, that I am that. Tat means that. How similar Sanskrit and English? TAT is Tat, THAT is that. So all these have some commonality, all these original languages. So Tatvadi means the one who says, I am not that. What is not? I am body and the mind basically. I am not the doer, he is saying. Atatvadi. Kurute na bhavedapi balisha. Even though he does things, he does not become childish. See, children are also like that, very clever. When they break a thing, what do they come and tell you? The thing broke, they tell you. How did this, you come home from the office and the children have made a mess of the house. You ask, what happened? He says, that vase fell and broke. Oh, the vase had legs, hands to jump off the shelf and break itself. Who broke it? No, it broke. They are atatvadis. They don't associate themselves with the action. I am not the doer. The vase is the doer, vase falls and dies. Mother knows, he is lying. One of them have done it. But nobody will accept the blame of doing it. Why? Because they distance themselves from the action, says, we are not the doers. Action is done. Vase broke. Nobody went and broke it. Yes, but you were involved, right? You were playing cricket in the house, the ball went and hit the vase and that's how it fell, right? They won't accept that. Even if they say, the ball broke the vase, they will tell. But how did the ball reach there to break the vase? That fellow hit it with the bat. Now, how did that fellow hit it the ball? Because you bowled to him in the first place, right? But you will distance yourself from the action. That's why he says, even though they distance themselves from the action like children do, it broke. They will never accept I broke it. Because they know the consequences. But not the consequence. Like I said, when small children are there, suppose their name is Ram. How you tell Ram, come here, Ram, sit here, Ram, eat this, Ram, go to sleep, like that we say. They also address themselves as Ram only. They'll come to the father and tell, Appa, Ram wants to sleep. Or Amma, Ram wants to eat. They are addressing themselves as a third person. This is a common habit of all children across the world, you see. Why? They are atatvadis. They don't identify themselves with the body. They identify themselves as a person other than the body, because everybody is identifying them with the name. They also identify themselves with a name. They don't call I want to sleep. They say Ram wants to sleep. Or Ram is hungry. Ram wants to eat. This is how atatvadis live in this world. But yet they are not childish. Balishaha. Childish means ignorantly child says this. Child is not saying with the knowledge that he is not the doer, the vase broke itself, is a part of the great bigger divine plan. No, he is simply escaping the consequences by saying, I am not the doer. But Jnani also says the same thing, I am not the doer, but does it with wisdom of non-doership. So the shloka is beautiful. It says, Atatvadi iva kurute na bhavedapi balisha. Though they do the same way like the children behave, by dissociating them from the action, but they are not children. Children do it because ignorantly or on purpose to escape the consequences, they distance themselves from the actions. Whereas a Jnani also distances from the action and says, I am not the doer, but with the wisdom of non-doership. That is the beauty of this shloka. And it says, Jivan Mukta Sukhi, the one who is free, Jivan Muktaha, the one who is free in life, not bound by doership and enjoyership, Sukhi, he is ever happy. Shriman Sansaranapi Shobhate, such a Shriman, such a great one, Sansaranapi, even though he is engaged in the world, seemingly doing all the actions, seemingly engaged in all enjoyments or sorrows, whichever way, still Shobhate. Shobhate means he is still unaffected, pure and radiant. He is beautiful, his life is beautiful. Why it's beautiful? Because unaffected by any of these things. And he simply distances himself. I am not the doer. But you only were there driving the car. Yes, body was driving the car. Mind was watching over the road. I was not body, not the mind. They're very clear. So something goes wrong also, they're very clear. Not because of me. Something goes right also, they're very clear. Not because of me. That beauty is the life of a Jnani who is ever free. So would things go wrong because of him? No. Things will go wrong because they were supposed to go wrong. That's it. Will things go right because of him? No. Things will go right because that is how they were supposed to be. So what was his role? Simply executing it. Simply following the command of the divine. But you are yourself divine? Yes. So let me see. When I feel I am the divine, I am only the doer and enjoyer. When I am still feeling I am an instrument, divine is instrument, using me as an instrument. That's all is their approach to life. And that is why this word is beautiful, called atatvadi. They do not associate, identify themselves with the doers of the action. And that is why they can remain ever free. This whole idea is so beautiful that the Jnanis, many times you go back to Jnani and ask them, how did you do this amazing work? And they are at a loss to explain, like children are at a loss to explain things. They don't know how it happened. So when people come and tell me, I tell them, I don't know. God does everything. No, don't be modest. Tell us what is your secret recipe to leadership and success. I told, I have no recipe. You just flow. You just flow. Whatever comes your way for that day, you do give it your very best. Be available to God in body, mind and soul. Whatever happens, happens. That's it. You can't take praise for it. You can't take blame for it. Both are not allowed in the spiritual path. But when these big leaders are coming, all of them, they also have built huge businesses. And they know they have built these businesses despite the profitability component where people are willing to give money because they're going to make money at the end. Despite that, they struggle as leaders. And you are here giving everything free, no income, nothing. And you have no fear, you have no worry, you have no tension. They don't have a mind of their own to think, decide, and then worry about it. Whereas these leaders who are coming, though they are very great because they have great leadership values and qualities, otherwise they won't build such huge organizations. But what is lacking? The spiritual depth to handle those ups and downs of businesses. That drives them crazy. That makes them feel so unnerved. So that is what they're asking. How do you manage? Because they do see that this charity is far more challenging than building $1 billion business, which has promises at the end of giving returns to the stakeholders. There's no return here. The only return is satisfaction. You feel good that this has happened, or your devotion to a cause that makes you do things. Otherwise, what is there for you to feel anything here? Nothing. So they are very, very, very dumbfounded when they see all this and they hear. Because we live inside this place, we don't realize how the magnitude of the spiritual depth of this place. But people who come from outside, when they see, they are very, very, in a way, overwhelmed by what is happening. But it's only because of this spiritual depth that we are surviving. If this spiritual depth was not there, charities cannot be run. Organizations may still be run because there are other people who will pitch in whenever required, because everybody has money to make there. Some selfish gains are to be made. So people will show interest. Here you have to be helpless, you have to let go and it never comes back to you. Then how do you give it away? Unless you are spiritual, you won't give it away. So nobody will run charity organizations like ours unless they have the real spiritual depth, not some shallow spirituality. Shallow spirituality won't last. In one big jolt or a setback, everything will collapse. Only deep spirituality will allow you to withstand all the strikes and hammers and all that. Because you are very, very deep. Your foundations are very deep. So it won't fall. When wind blows or storms come, it won't fall. Because your foundation of spirituality and understanding of such concepts of non-doership and non-enjoyership is very, very, very strong. That is why it doesn't affect. So I say all the time, only yogis can run this place, only jnanis can run this place. A jnani only can replace a jnani. No, not anybody else. So it is important that all of us turn into jnanis, so that for the sake of doing what needs to be done in the right way, we have to turn into jnanis. Ajnanis will ruin the broth because they don't know fully. They are half capable or incapable or not fully done. Now the next sloka is on 18.27, 177 page, which says, Nana vichara sushranto dhiro vishranti magataha na kalpate na janati na shrunoti na pashyati. It says, Nana vichara sushranto. Vichara means thoughts. Nana means of different kinds. Sushranto, who has heard all of this and exhausted all of it. There is nothing left in him. He is absolutely pleased. Sushranta, Vishranta, all these means peace, rest. So restful he is in his mind. Why? Because he has heard all the opinions, seen the world, been there, done that. He's overcome everything. Now his head is free of all the thinking and calculating and analyzing and deciding and judging and all that. Sushranta he has become. After having gone through all this, his head has become free. Dhiraha, he is that one wise, discriminating one. Vishranti magataha, he becomes restful. Only when your mind is running at the RPM of 100 thoughts a minute, that is when you are restless. When your mind has no thought, that is when you attain peace. Simple example is when you go to sleep. Till you are thinking something, you don't get sleep. When all the thoughts disappear, or at least they are settled, that's when sleep happens. And sleep is not something you decide to do. Sleep happens to you. Sleep must happen to you effortlessly. Only then it is sleep. If you push a pill and then try to sleep, that's not real sleep. You're dumbing down the system. But even then, the only way you sleep is when your thoughts disappear. Rest happens when thought disappears. So these people's minds are always at rest. Why? Because there are no thoughts. They're absolutely calm, as if in deep sleep. But of course, awake and aware of everything. But the restfulness of their being is like the rest that you get in deep sleep. When you wake up from a deep sleep, you were very refreshed. You say, oh, how long did I sleep? You say 7 hours. No, I felt like it was just 7 minutes. Because time disappears in this idea of when thoughts disappear, time disappears. That's why people can sit in front of a statue and admire it for hours and not even realize how much time has passed. Because their thoughts have disappeared. So when thoughts disappear, you attain rest. You attain peace. So these people who have exhausted all kinds of thoughts from their head, and they have attained that absolute peace and rest of mind. Na kalpate. How do they work or exist? Na kalpate. They do not imagine, they do not dream. Na janati. Nor do they know what is going on. It is happening. They are not even aware of what is happening. Na shrunoti. They are hearing, but they are not hearing. Na pashyati. They are seeing, but they are not seeing. Everything is happening through them. At the end of the day, you ask them to recall everything that they have said, spoken, heard, seen. They can't recall because they were never there in the first place to even experience all these things. Then who was experiencing? Body was experiencing, mind was experiencing. Do you have any recollection, memory of it? Maybe some faint ones. That's why I say when you give a speech and you don't remember what you have spoken, in all good sanity you have spoken, right? It means you are not the speaker. You don't remember a thing. It's because somebody else came, took over the whole thing, spoke through you, and once it was done, speech ended. For me, it works like that. I do not come prepared. I do read shlokas and come because I need to know what shlokas are coming. But I don't come prepared this way that, okay, this, after that, this, write a script. No, nothing. You come here, whatever the thought which is most necessary, appropriate for the audience, that will start. It is like you switch on the button, the machine starts working, and at some point in time, automatically the button is switched off and all words, thoughts, emotions disappear. Just disappear. I can't force them back. I can't even, scrounge them back saying, no, I want to speak another extra sentence. It won't come. It is such an effort to speak another sentence once that process is over. So this doership thing will continue for one or two more shlokas so that this thought keeps coming back to us and we don't forget it. It remains with us and we constantly, if we live in that thought for too long, there's a good chance that we may get transformed. Because as you think, so you become. The more you think you are the Jnani of the Ashtavakra Gita, the more you will behave and become like that. So hopefully with this continuous meditation, contemplation on this thought, there is a possibility of the transformation at the end. We have those 5 C's of our culture. In that 5C, there is, of course, concern, communication, collaboration, then cleanliness and continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is a Japanese philosophy of Kaizen, which says incremental continuous improvement is what makes things happen. Sudden one day improvement do not work. Slowly, steadily you should improve. So this exercise of furthering their capabilities to teach better, especially in the modern times with the advent of AI and other teaching methodologies and tools which have to be used moderately and correctly. Overusage also can damage everything, and not using is also not correct. So all these workshops were conducted and we had a good opportunity because all of them were here for the entire 90 days period. So they underwent a workshop for 60 days under the guidance of several teachers, mentors, educationists and academicians and pedagogical experts, subject experts. They've come and conducted these classes. I hope this is going to help them become better teachers and administrators and again pass this knowledge on to the next generation, because teachers have to be really good. If teacher is good, students will be good. If teachers are not that great, students will not be that great. Plus, our institution has a specific challenge, a unique challenge, that most of our students come from very vulnerable and underprivileged communities, and even the previous education that they have had before joining here was not adequate and was not enough. They didn't learn much. So we have a huge challenge to get them up to the mark in the very beginning. That's why 6th, 7th and 8th classes, I never allowed them to attend this Ashtavakra or anything in the mornings, because they are yet to catch up and come to the same level as others. Since they come from small government schools and other small villages, most of them don't speak English. They don't understand most of the subjects. They take longer than. That is why we shifted to NIOS, because NIOS has exam only at the end of 8th standard. So 6th, 7th and 8th, 3 years they get to prepare themselves to write the public exam. That way their confidence is not lost when they're not doing well in every year's exam. They have 3 years to prepare well and come to, and most of the students are doing well. They pick up good enough English. They pick up all the subjects. So a lot of innovations and ideas to improve the system has been undertaken, and educating and training our teachers is part of that as a continuous improvement. So that is why this program was conducted. I'm very happy and I want to congratulate all the participants. Of course, they have benefited, but more than that, the staff who work behind the scenes, from training and development department to Venkateshwarlu, who is in charge of the program, and to Meenakshi Biswal, who is an educationist herself. So all of them have put together this well-curated program, and we have learned. I believe I saw the feedback. I did see that there are areas of improvement, but I think slowly, from this what we have learned, we will put it in the next training session and improve continuously. But you all have to be good teachers. As students, you have to be good teachers eventually. Because without good teachers, we cannot build this country or the world. Because each teacher can influence thousands of students' minds. Each one of you becomes a teacher well balanced in both this academic as well as the spiritual knowledge. You can transform the minds of the children, and that will lead to the great transformation of the country. And one day, that concept of Vidya Nagari, where everybody is a Jnani, that will happen, and the whole world be a very happy and peaceful place. So for that, these are little steps that we are taking. So enjoy being a teacher. You must enjoy and appreciate the opportunity. Nothing matches the opportunity of molding another person's character. Everything else is secondary. Yes, you give life to somebody in the operation theater is very fulfilling, but even better fulfillment is to teach them how to live that life. And that fulfillment is that of the teachers. So I'm very particular about our teachers, that they do really the right things and they continuously improve themselves. They learn. A teacher has to be a learner first. They should not shy away. They should not never think I know enough. No, something else you can learn, make it more interesting and engaging. So keep learning. That is the way of a teacher. And I hope that this will help improve the entire education system further. So again, blessings to all of them.